So, welcome to the webinar, Cannabidiol Demystifying a Novel Ingredient, Insights into Mode of Action and Benefits of Topical Use. The first speaker, Professor Minghetti of the University of Milan, will explain us the different components of the cannabis plant and what the specific properties of cannabidiol are. She will also give us a short overview of the legal framework. The second speaker, Dr. Antonella Casiraghi, is an assistant professor also at the University of Milan and will focus on topical activity and skin permeation of CBD cannabidiol. Please feel free to type in your questions at any time of the webinar, as we will have a chance to answer them at the end. And now I will hand over to our speakers. Professor Minghetti, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, and good evening to everyone. I will try to make a condivision of my slide. Okay. Let me know if everything is okay. It seems that it's working. So we are, I'm Paola Minghetti, and I'm professor in the School of Pharmacy of Technological Aspect and Regulatory Affairs. And this afternoon I will introduce you to some aspect of cannabis that is a very, very interesting plant, and in particular the legal framework and something about the use of that product. So as far as the outline of this part of the seminar, the first part, it will be related to cannabis composition and the CBD origin. Then we will look at the products that are on the market in Europe based on cannabis and CBD in particular, and then a few words on the legal framework. I would like to start with this slide. This slide is the Italian pharmacopoeia of the Kingdom of Italy, and it's very, very old. We at the beginning of the 19th century, because now we are not anymore a kingdom. But I would like to show this only to demonstrate to you that this plant is very, very has been studied a lot for many years, and it was used also in the ancient time. And as you can see here, we have there was the monography of the cannabis plant and the monography of the extractum in alcohol. That's only to demonstrate that the use is really since many, many times. As far as the composition and origin, cannabis, of course, like all the other plants, herbal product, has a lot of substance inside. And of course, the components are different in consideration of the part of the plant that you use. When we are speaking about a medicinal product or also cosmetic product, normally we take care of the inflorescence of the flower of the plant. And in this part, we have in particular cannabinoids, and then we have terpenes, but different type of terpenes. And then another variety, of course, of substance. We don't know exactly how every substance is working. The research are related mainly to cannabinoids, and we have something related to the terpenes. When we think about the extraction from the plant, of course, we have a different type of extract. It depends on the solvent that we use, the type of extraction, for example, the temperature that we use, and the part of the plant, of course, that we use. In case of the extraction from the inflorescence, as you can see in this chromatogram, we have mainly the THC and the CBD. As you can see here, these are in the acidic form, both of them, and only very, very small amount we have the THC and the CBD in the neutral form. And this is typical profile, phytoprofile of an extract of the starting from the raw material. But what we need is to transform the acidic part in neutral. In fact, what we know is that the active part is the neutral one. So we cannot give to the patient or to the person this kind of extract, but we have to transform the acidic part in neutral. This is why normally the cannabis is used by smoking, because of course during the smoking process the high temperature permits the degradation of the acid part to the neutral one. So during the smoking we don't have any problem in consideration of the temperature. But if we use this plant in a different way, for example putting that in an oil or in a cream or in something else, we have to make the degradation of the acidic part to the neutral before the use. And this is a very important thing that we have to remember. Okay, we told that we have two mainly components, the tetrahydrocannabinol and the cannabidiol. The tetrahydrocannabinol is the main narcotic component. There are other, but this is the more important, and all the titulation of the drug are performed in THC. While the cannabidiol has a little bit different, as you see, chemical formula, but it is a non-narcotic analog. That means that if we don't have the THC in this condition, our plant or our derivative or our product containing this part is not considered a narcotic product. And this is, of course, is very important to have a product on the market. How we can have the CBD? CBD we can have isolating from the cannabis sativa, and we have different chemotypes of cannabis. There are chemotypes with a very high level of THC. That is the one that is used for some medicinal product where THC is the active ingredient. Then we have other chemotypes where the more or less the ratio between CBD and THC is more or less the same. And then we have chemotypes where we have a very low level of THC and high level of CBD. We can try to have also different type of plant where we don't have THC at all. And for example, sometimes for industrial, or for example, fiber industry, we use chemotype with a minimal amount of THC that has to be under 0.3%. And normally they have also low level of CBD, but sometimes they can have also CBD. So if we want to use CBD, of course, it's better to have a plant that doesn't have any level of THC. And in this sense, there are some industries that are working to try to make to grow up the cannabis without, where they shut down the production of the plant of THC. And there is also the opportunity to try to isolate CBD from other plant, alternative botanic source, but it's very, very difficult because the amount of CBD in other plants is very, very small, and so it's not convenient at the moment. What we have, really, we have also the synthetic product. That is because the cannabidiol is, as you can see here, is a small molecule, it's not very big, and so it's not so difficult to make the synthesis of this product, and also is not so expensive. So we can, at the moment, we can find on the market two types of CBD. CBD that is isolated from cannabis sativa and CBD from synthesis. Of course, there are some differences, and in case of synthesis, the price normally is low, and the component is pure. We can have very, very high level of purity, and if it is well prepared, if there is no degradation, we have the complete absence of THC. So that means that it's very important to have good, very good industry that produce for synthesis the CBD. In case of isolation from cannabis, of course, there is a very high variability. It depends on which kind of part of the cannabis you take, in which period you take the plant, and then we have, as I told you, engineered the transgenic plant and so on. But in any case, in the CBD isolated from cannabis many times pose some problem because as a small level of THC normally is present. What we have on the market and why we use this kind of product. We have some receptor that is the endocannabinoid system, and the THC has some pharmacological effects due to the binding to the cannabinoid receptor. A cannabinoid receptor are two types, type 1 and type 2, and the THC has a good affinity to both of them. That's permitted to have on the market different kind of medicinal product. That means with the marketing authorization, that obtaining the marketing authorization, that means that there was clinical trial that demonstrated the activity in some indication, that is mainly some type of sclerosis. There are also in US and other country also synthetic THC with that it can use in some cancer treatment, but this is not allowed, at least in Europe. We don't have this kind. What we have in Europe is this product, and this is the main indication. No country, at least in Europe, authorized the smoking of cannabis for medical purposes to avoid confusion with laser use of the cannabis. And we know that there are differences in the approval and availability of medical cannabis in the European countries. For example, I can tell you that in Italy, but also in Germany and in Netherlands, for example, we have a lot of oil, cannabis oil, made by the pharmacist. So in the pharmacy, they will receive the inflorescence of cannabis and they make extraction in different type of oil. And this product can be given by drops to the patients. And the sativa, that is the product that is on the market, is also in this case is an extract of cannabis, and it's used in sublingual spray. As far as CBD have a very low affinity for the receptor of cannabinoids, and probably this is the reason why he has a very lack activity. He doesn't have activity, psychotropic activity, and this is considered. And in fact, also GMO doesn't consider this substance like a psychotropic substance, but it can be used outside all the rules or the law related to the narcotic product. He has some activity. The activity are related to probably to the reactivity with other receptor, and so the activity is completely different in consideration of the THC. In fact, for example, we recently have a new drug approved by the European Agency of Drug. This is the name, I think, more or less in all the countries. And the activity is related to the treatment of some very particular pathology related to epilepsy in children, and now also in some rare disease for adults. But in any case, is to avoid preventive of epilepsy. And what we know is that CBD is generally very well tolerated. It has a very high safety profile, and we don't have any or very few systemic effect. This is the detail in the data bank of the European Medicine Agency of that product that I'm speaking about. And as you can see, are related to this Lennox-Gastaut syndrome is a syndrome related to epilepsy and to other type of epilepsy in any case. So it's a very particular, very rare disease. So the use as medicinal product is very, very limited. What we can say about the legal framework, how we can use the CBD. We can use CBD, of course, we see as drug, but probably it could be interesting to use this CBD in other type of products. But of course, it is important that in all the country, it will not considered like a narcotic. At the moment, in the European Union, we don't have an harmonized law on CBD use, so we can have different situations in different countries. But generally, as I know, in no country it is considered like a narcotic, at least the synthetic form. In some countries, in some situation, the CBD extracted for the cannabis can be considered narcotic only in consideration that it can have some THC residual in the product. But as I told you, the legal status is not homogeneous at the moment because this is outside the scope at the moment of the directive or the regulation of the European country. We have in some countries, Italy is one of that, what we call cannabinoids, that is sold in the shop, and this product are inflorescence without THC and with the CBD. How it can be used, this is very, very difficult to tell you because as I will show you now, it cannot be used smoking, it cannot be used in oral, so it's very difficult to understand how people buy this type of product and what he can do with that. But what is sure in all the countries, in all the European, at least European countries, is that CBD can be used in cosmetic product. In fact, we have the regulation in Europe. Regulation means that this law is used in all the European country, and all European country has to following this kind of regulation. And in this regulation, as you can see in this Article 3, what is important for the cosmetic is that the cosmetic can be put on the market only if it is safe for human health. So before to put on the market, they have to demonstrate with a small dossier, but they have to demonstrate, the people that want to put on the market has to demonstrate that the product is safe under normal and reasonable condition of use. As I told you, in the cosmetic product, the cannabidiol is admitted. At the beginning, it was admitted only synthetic origin, in consideration of the possibility of contamination of the extracted product. Now it is admitted only extracted from resin of cannabis, but in any case, of course, he has to avoid completely the narcotic substances. There are some indications, some function related to cosmetic, anti-sebum, antioxidant, skin conditioning, skin protecting. But in any case, it has not, it cannot be obtained from the top of the cannabis plant, but for sure the synthetic cannabinoid can be much more sure and also much more easier to prepare a cosmetic because the substance is all the same batch to batch. It's much more easy to have the same product batch to batch. What I told you is not possible to use, at least in Europe. I don't want to speak about the US or other part of the world, but in Europe, at the moment, it's not possible to use CBD in orally taken product. That means that cannot be used in food or in health food or something like that, because it is considered a novel food. As you can see here, there is the red cross. That means that it is considered a novel food, but is a novel food not approved. It could be approved, of course, but it will be approved only if some industry will give to the authority, that is the European Authority of Food Safety, and all the data, the dossier, with the demonstration that taken orally, it is safe. At the moment, we don't have enough information on that, and for this reason, in Europe, at the moment, the decision is not to permit. So, in conclusion of this part, what we can say is that the use of CBD is safe if it is used in a correct way, and correct way means topically for cosmetic purpose, and by selecting very important firm. This is it is important because, of course, the purity of the substance, the good formulation of the product is very important for this kind of product. So I think that is important to select very firm with a good that give you a good idea of safety and quality. I will thank you for your kind attention. Of course, after the relation of Professor Casiraghi, there will be time for questions if you have. So at the moment, I will give the floor to Antonella. Thanks to you.